In a bright, clear blue area with a large structure made up on the pillars, as the crystal gems and Stephen arrived at the warp pad. Stephen looked up in awe. Whoa! What a magical place of mystery is this? Well, Pearl butted into Amethyst to answer him. Oh, I'm glad you asked. This was once a communication hub for Gemkind, she explained as they walked towards it, but lately it's beginning to transmit bursts of electromagnetic interference. Stephen stared at Spinel. What does that mean? It's hurting television, she replied gently. No, Stephen cried. I'll save you, television. Aha! He tried to kick over and knocked over a pillar, but nothing happened. Amethyst lifted Stephen up. Sorry, but we need a Stephen at least. She sniffled into a boulder looking like Stephen. This strong for the job. Stephen gasped. All the me I could, me? Spinel frowned, not liking the image of the muscled Stephen. Not really. Amethyst noticed her discomfort and rolled her eyes. All right. She shifted back to her normal self. I can handle this, though, said Spinel as she grabbed her wrist. In large fists, arms screwing like a spring and prepared to swing it. No, shouted Pearl, holding her back. We don't need to do that. It'll take too long to take these out individually or destructively. Spinel frowned but deflated her hand. You're right. Fine, she said. And I hate it when she is, Amethyst agreed. She gets that look on her face. She glanced at smiling Pearl. Yeah, the same one. Then Pearl created a hologram of her gem. That we need a well-thought-out plan. No, Garnet called out. What if we need is a silicate? Amethyst fused with me. What? Amethyst, Spinel, and even Pearl yelled at him in illusion, with the purple gem more delighted than ever by the other two. As she jumped away, Spinel and Pearl both looked at each other, for scrunching their faces in disgust and chagrin. Yeah, let's mash it up, squealed Amethyst, and dancing around Garnet, making some weird faces. Bigger, badder, better, she laughed. Stephen stepped up. Hold your horses. Are you guys going to become a gem fusion? Amethyst screamed excitedly while shaking. After a quick pause, Stephen and Amethyst began screaming for each other. Wait! Amethyst and Stephen looked over to Spinel, who looked like she was trying to keep her cool. Garnet, are you sure about this? I mean, we all have to do is take down the pillar. We don't need to go all out. Spinel's right, actually, Pearl introspected. You two can be a little unstable when your personalities combined. We just need to be careful. Fuse with me instead. Garnet laid her eyes on the pale gem's shoulder. We don't need to be careful. We just need huge. Oh yeah, let's wreck this place, joint. Amethyst jumped in, exciting, as Spinel and Stephen joined Pearl and the pink gem, sharing a tense look on their compassion. Who angrily turned away. Synchronized, Garnet began before the gems could lay their hands, and they began to glow red, and the gem moved to her hips, rather suggestively. Stephen then watched interest before Spinel covered her hands over his eyes, expressing the uneasiness as Stephen tried to pull her fingers away. What? Hey, Spinel, come on, I want to see. Garnet continued to make several poses. Amethyst moved onto her shoulders to beat the gem, glowing and smiling, changing at the grin. After performing some more moves, Amethyst ran towards Garnet. The two of them enveloped with the white light. From the ball of the light, with the gems shifting, dragon-like beams shot up and roared, revealing a great fusion of Garnet and Amethyst. The fusion laughed out loud, stretching his arms. I forgot how great this feels to be me. What's Silgalite? Stephen gasped. You got it, baby, Silgalite smirked as he crashed on. Hey, Stephen, want to see something cool? Yeah. Complying with the boy's wishes, Silgalite summoned Garnet's gunlets, which of course floated upwards and they fused together as Amethyst whipped and wrapped around the handle, creating a flail and crashed it to the ground. Even Stephen was astonished. You like that, little man? Aren't you going to smash stuff with your wrecking ball, Finny? Well, that's the plan. Where should I start? That one, Stephen points out at the pillars. Grinning, Silgalite swung her flail into the communication hub, causing large chunks of pillars to fall around them. Pearl was already feeling unsafe. Spinel, Steven, I think we should go. No way, this is awesome, Steven protested. Concerned Spinel was still watching the destruction. As Sigilite continued to swing flail around, more debris fell around the trio. Pearl quickly grabbed a piece of the pillar away. Watch it! A sizable chunk of the pillar even hit Steven in the face and knocked him back, causing Spinel to scream, Steven! Wrapping her arms around the boy. Pearl yelled, now even more angry. You're just a little too much. Sigilite didn't lose her grin. Maybe you're just too little. Well, you're right, Pearl. Spinel stood up, holding Steven, and looked down at her companion. We need to leave. What? No, I'm fine, Steven retorted as they walked up to the warp pad. What about Sigilite? Pearl didn't look at him. She can find her own way home. As Pearl and Spinel and Steven, who groaned in disappointment, warped away, a large chunk of debris crushed up the warp pad, destroying and even rendering it useless. Steven then walked up to the big-sized donut gauze and wrapped tightly around his forehead, wearing sunglasses. Sup? Sadie ran to the Lara's table. Whoa, Steven! What happened to you? Steven leaned against the table, taking off his sunglasses. Oh, just a little battle damage taken from our last mission. Really? Asked Sadie. Lara's was very doubtful. Like what? Steven grinned and lifted up the gauze up with some difficulty. I got hit by a rock. A tiny scar was marked on his forehead, and 2 employees. He stared at it and started to laugh hysterically. It must have not been a big rock, Sadie joked. Steven covered the cuts back up. Well, there's more internal bleeding. My hurt is on the inside. Man, Lars laughed. I would have loved to see that look on Spinel's face. Aw, did Stevie get a little cut? He continued to laugh. Toughen up, Steven. Steven then laughed and then took off the gauze. You're right, I'm soft. Lars picked up the can of sardines and tried to open it as he spoke. If I weren't so modest, I whipped my sweet 6-pack and show you what a real man looks like. He grunted, failing to get it open. Sadie quickly offered to open it for him. He gave the can to her and Sadie opened it with ease and handed it back to him. Lars scowled to himself. Now, I'm gonna say thanks. Frowning, Sadie harshly punched him in the leg, and he was two-faced by it, almost laughing. Steven got an idea, and his eyes became the stars. That's it. We all need to need a workout. Let's do it. Let's work out together. You could beat up Lars, and you don't have to starve to death if Sadie divorces you. We're not married, Lars panicked with a mouthful of sardine sandwich. Steven nodded, and I know just the guy to help us out. Greg was fast asleep, laying on his bed on the workbench after building a small makeshift gym for the 3 of them. Lars and Sadie stood beside Steven in the workout clothes. Wow, this looks great, proclaimed Steven. Greg woke with a piece of wood stuck and fell off his head into the drool of his beard. What? Hey, Dad. Steven ran up towards his dad. Father, the 2 others falling behind. Hey, Steven, you like it? Asked Greg. It's the best I can do for such a short notice. Lars then picked up a stick and attached 2 cans, and one of them falling. No kidding. Well, I might as well put you kids in the show when it's done, Greg proudly stated. I've been slacking off on my workout routine for weeks, months, years. He coughed awkwardly. Decades. As Steven smiled, sure. The more the merrier. And we need wrist sweatbands. As Steven ran up to the beach house, Pearl and Spinel got passed by the 3. Greg looked up and lifting a dumbbell. Hey, Pearl. Hey, Spinel. Want to come check out my buff studs? Of course, Pearl and Spinel stared at him, the former replying no, and they walked up to the porch. Spinel was first to approach Steven. Sweetheart, what exactly is going on? We're starting a gym, Steven proclaimed. Spinel then stared at him in surprise, but then smiled in delight with her hands on her cheek. Oh, that's wonderful. Pearl stood beside her, still confused. Yeah, Steven nodded. I'm gonna get super strong like Sigilite. Of course, Spinel's face fell to a weak smile, and her pigtails were lowering. Pearl was having the same thought as her companion. You know, maybe this isn't a good idea, Steven blinked. What? I want to be strong so I can be useful for the team. Oh, Stevie, Spinel cooed, crouching down and placing a hand on her shoulder. You've proven yourself to me many times. I think you're just perfect. But I want to get strong the real way, Steven protested. Come on, let's get beefy. Spinel should have replied, but Pearl muttered, I'd rather not. and then went inside to the house. Pearl closed the door behind her inside, and she noticed Steven's clothes laid on the floor. Steven, she grumbled, relaxed herself. Pearl, why do you always have to look up to her? Aside from the internal sense, don't you know power becomes big with bigger expense? And can't you see she's letting out of control and overzealous? I'm telling you for your own good, and not because I can show you how strong you can be, the real way. And I know we can be strong, the real way. And I want to talk to you. I mean, I want to be your rock. And when I talk, it lights a fire in you. At the gym, Steven and Spinel returned to the gym, and with the others are, and Spinel was turning her head towards the face Pearl, but the pale gem turned away and went back inside. I could show you something how to be strong, the real way. And I know how we can be strong, the real way. And I want to inspire you. I want to be your rock. And when I walk, it lights a fire in you. I want to inspire you. I want to be your rock. And when I talk, it lights a fire in you. Everyone was now visibly tired. Sadie panted, "Hey, Steven, maybe you work out a bit too?" Steven was confused. I have been. We've been working out, Lyres shot to glare at him, and your mommy just has been singing those dumb songs. Spinel glared at Lyres, frightened him a bit. But you're doing a great job pumping us up, Greg backed them up. Thanks, but I need to get strong too, Steven said before handing Spinel a microphone. Spinel, give me something to do. Spinel just stood there blankly and nodded, speaking to the microphone. Okay, drop down and give me some push-ups. Steven did as he was told. At sunrise, Lyres and Sadie and Greg were all waiting for Steven outside. Steven, come on, Sadie called out. We're ready to get started. We can't work out without Spinel's mad coaching skills. Inside the house in his room, Steven struggled to get out of his bed and slowly dragged himself down the stairs. Be there in a sec. I'm so sore from being so ripped. You think you'll be diffused by now? Spinel asked to Pearl in a worried tone. I know, grumbled Pearl. I have been trying to warp back and check, but I assume that the warp pad is broken. Suddenly the ground began to shake, and voices sounding. They panicked outside. Some of the places the house fell. Steven, Spinel, and Pearl all looked at each other and ran into the house, even though Steven stumbled in the far distance. Sergalite was stomping through the ocean. What the hey is that? Greg yelled before Lyres falling off one of the monkey bars. Sergalite stepped onto the beach, nearly in range. I'm bored. Sergalite, Spinel whimpered, holding Steven close, who was happy to see the fusion. Pearl then ran to Sergalite. You're back, Sergalite declared, a finger at her. You all left me behind. We just thought you didn't need any help, Pearl tried to calm down. Now why did you celebrate and we can all sit down and relax? No, Sergalite roared, kicking Pearl away. Pearl, Spinel and Steven both shouted together. Pearl got up as Sergalite walked towards her. You listen to me. You've been fused for too long. You're losing yourselves. I am myself, and I'm sick of being split up. So you better get used to it, baby. Spinel facepalmed. I knew this would happen, and I can get this junk off my beach. Sergalite stomped over, making it on the makeshift gym. Spinel hugged Steven close as they stood by Pearl. Hey, Greg made that. Of course, Steven was now scared. Why is she attacking us? Why is she attacking you? Spinel just did, and then Pearl summoned a spear. What? Sergalite growled. You want to fight? You'll have to thank me later. Pearl leapt towards the fusion, but was swatted away when Spinel turned around to see that she was brought Greg to Steven. Stay here. Spinel stretched her arms out and caught Pearl mid-fall, and then lunged and stand beside her, joining the fight. Come on, kid. Greg helped Steven to his feet. Dad, no, Steven cried. Spinel! Pearl! Pearl and Spinel both leapt on the Sergalite, only managing to knock off the visors. Greg and Steven both gasped. You think you're something, you? Sergalite then slammed Pearl and Spinel to the ground. Their main focus was on the forum. Ain't. She tossed Pearl into the sky. Nothing. She then leapt on and smacked Pearl downwards towards the ground. Her flail caused some damage to the house. My muscles. Steven struggled to move himself when he saw the megaphone. Spinel was lying away from him, and he covered in wounds. Steven! She kneeled over in pain and began to cry. I'm sorry. Steven, Garnet, Amethyst, Spinel. I wasn't strong enough to protect you. I'm not strong enough to do anything. Pearl. Spinel's whisper was then filled with sympathy. Come on, Pearl, don't give up, Stephen shouted into the microphone. Spinel and I know you can take her down. I can't, Pearl sobbed, shutting her eyes. Yes, you can. Come on, you're strong. On, Pearl, we all know you are. No, I'm not. Pearl. Pearl's head then shot up at Spinel. What? Spinel then gave her a comforting smile. If this makes you feel better, we could... She trailed off, but Pearl immediately knew what she meant. Her blue eyes glistened in the light as she stood up. But Spinel, I mean do it. Let's do it. I'm okay with it, Spinel insisted. Surprised, Pearl laughed a bit, taking Spinel's hand in hers. They brought each other in for a hug before some light shone around them. Stephen had to cover his eyes to shield himself from the light, although Sigurd was just there, shocked. Some light disappeared, revealing a fusion of Pearl and Spinel. She proudly lay with the pink faded mist around her. Sigurd, she spoke, her orange sunset hair blowing in the wind. I will not allow you to harm these humans. Unfuse at once. Huh? Sigurd roared. How are you supposed to be? The fusion smiled. I am Peach Moonstone. Sigurd just stood there, and of course then snarled. We are bigger and stronger than you are. We could still crush you. Peach Moonstone wasn't faced by narrow lactic words. Hope you're fast enough. Almost at the speed of light, Peach Moonstone dashed through the Sigurd in circles. Not even Stephen or anyone else could watch to keep up with her. Sigurd was then whipped in the head and left and right, and finally screamed in fury and waved her flail about, trying to land a hit. But as fast as lightning, Peach Moonstone dashed for a good distance away from the giant fusion. Upside down heart gem glowed on her, and of course lowered her stretchy arms and grabbed it. A spear crescent moon-shaped like a hook. Hook was the end of the summon. Maintaining her shock, Sigurd then swung her flail down to them. Peach Moonstone just stood there. Everyone who was watching anticipated. Stephen's eyes were watching in horror. However, Peach Moonstone leapt forwards, ducking her head under the sliced flail ropes with her spear. At the end of the flail ending behind with a peach-colored fusion. Sigurd growled in fury. Stop fooling around and actually fight if you're brain dead. Of course, Peach Moonstone didn't reply, leaping towards her, summoning another spear through the gem onto the forehead. Sigurd and Peach Moonstone shared a moment of eye contact before peach-colored the fusion began to spin. Her spears were glowing white and forming rings. Double moon cutter! Peach Moonstone cried as she lunged towards the larger fusion. Within a blink of an eye, Peach Moonstone had sliced Sigurd into three halves. Sigurd's face was then sealed into shock, then proving that Garnet and Amethyst laid on the ground. Peach Moonstone's eyes widened for a second of separation. Pearl and Spinel ran up to the two exhausted gems. Amethyst! Garnet! Pearl shouted in concern. Are you okay? Garnet lifted her head. Yeah, Sigurd just overworked our bodies. It's a little painful. I have a monster headache, moaned Amethyst. Pearl and Spinel then both pulled them into a tight and tearful hug, later wrapping around her arms around them, and the two of the gems groaning, causing them to let go. Whoops, sorry, Spinel apologized. You too, Stephen ran up to them. You two were awesome. Peach Moonstone was amazing. Spinel scratched the back of her head. Yeah, I guess we were. What about you, Pearl? Pearl then smiled, hugging her. Yes, thank you, Spinel said. You two were right, Garnet said. We should have listened. Pearl then pulled away, still holding Spinel's shoulders. Yeah, we're right. Go, Pearl, go, Spinel, cheered Stephen, with everyone else walking from behind them. Hey, Spinel, I feel great. Want to go on a mission? Pearl asked, fizzing with excitement. Spinel shared her excitement. Boy, do I. Then the two overjoyed filmed gems continued to hug and then shout each other out in one day. How long are they going to keep this up? Amethyst sighed. Well, we deserve it, stated Garnet. Well, let's take it a gem. Liars spoke up. What the heck just happened? Drop and give me 20, Stephen shouted, through the microphone.